Welcome to the middle of the African bush. It is absolutely stunning just before sunrise. We've got vultures in the trees, we had lions roaring in this area, so hopefully we're going to have a cat-filled. I think I just heard a lion contact call. Stay tuned, this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Okay, I'm still listening. It sounds like the lions are quite close to us here. I'm Brent, and on camera with me today is Brian and the Thumb, who's just had to get out of his glove so you can see him. And together, Brian and I are sometimes known as the Killer Bees. And hopefully we're going to find you some cats. Okay, so that sounds like just ahead. There's quite a lot of vultures around here, which is unusual, unless we've got the world's first nocturnal flying vultures. Okay, so I just need to be on the Game Drive radio for a second. Okay, so what a line contact call is, it's a low sort of call between lines when they're close by or looking for each other in the area. And it sounds something like this. Now, it's not, of course, that deep roar. Here we go, lion tracks. Looks like a male and a female, so it could be the ones we saw right at the end of the Sunset Safari. The roaring I heard earlier sounded like the old Pride, so fingers crossed. And of course, this is a live African safari, so you are able to ask us questions. You can do that by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or pop us an email, questions@wildearth.tv. Now, let us go across to my partner in crime on this sunrise safari, the highly entertaining James Henry, who wishes to bid you a good morrow.
Good morning, everybody, and how are you today? I'm full of joy. I'm with Eggsy today. Hello, Eggsy. Morning. Yes, there is Eggsy, everybody. His beard resplendent in the morning, soon to be glowing in the newly risen sun. Now, oh, it's gone. Never mind, Eggsy. It was a hornbill sitting silhouetted on a stick over there. My name is James Henry, in case you were wondering, and I'm becoming increasingly distressed at the fact that Brent Leo Smith thinks I'm a criminal. Anyway, that's just how it goes. I'm just going to turn him down. He's now shouting in my ear, not to me, but about me. Now, our plan this morning is to go down to the south. There's the hornbill there. It's on the ground now, Eggsy. It's that bird thing. See it? Yeah. Good. Well done. And we're going to go down the southern boundary, see if we can't find tracks of Shadow or Karula going up or down. I haven't seen either of them for far too long. I'm sure they miss me desperately. And then we're going to head across to Cheetah Plains in our quest for ostrich, because surely I must be able to do my ostrich attraction dance sometime before I next leave here. So that's the plan this morning. Obviously these plans change by the second, and we'll just see what happens on the way It's a gorgeous morning, but it's quite cold today. It's supposed to be a nippy 9 degrees, feels like about -24, but that's just because I'm a bit of a drip. Eggsy, do you find that your beard helps to warm your face?
Yeah.
Yes, he says it does. He's not a very vociferous fellow, our Eggsy. He doesn't talk a great deal. But he has a very resplendent beard, and apparently it does help to warm his face. That hornbill, I guarantee you, will shortly be climbing up onto an exposed piece of branch or stick as soon as the sun thinks about peeping up over the horizon, and there it will warm itself. I'm not sure why it is that the hornbills think that it's such a good idea to do that versus the other birds. I mean, I completely sympathize with it. In the background, you can hear some grey hornbills calling. Like a little like a little group of clarinet players. But otherwise, there we go, he's back. Can you see him, Eggsy?
Yeah.
He's where I first spotted him.
There's a steenbokkie there.
There's a steenbokkie,
Tree.
not sitting on the tree there, surely. Well done, Eggsy. 2 steenbokkies. 10 points for Eggsy. It's very rather splendid. They're either standing still or herring away from us at great speed normally. Now that is a very, very gentle jog for a steenbok, of course. The hornbill's now gone, Eggsy. And what they do is they are a little bit like a kangaroo. Now we know that a kangaroo, of course, is a hopper in the same way that a wallaby is a hopper. And they use the natural elasticity of the muscles, and you can see I think that's probably why their backsides are slightly higher up at their backs. And what they do is they move like that, and there's a natural elasticity in the muscles that makes it very efficient for them to move that sort of. It looks slightly awkward because it almost looks like their backsides are springing above the horizontal, but it's a very efficient way of moving. And it's also, if you need to explode off at a great speed, well, it's a very efficient way of doing that too. Right, Eggsy, shall we continue?
Yes.
Yes, good idea. I was hoping to show you the mountains just disappearing with the last of the night off to the west there, but unfortunately they are hidden in a pall of dust and smoke, so that will not be possible right now. Starling behind us, let's not worry about that. Let us move along. Ah, there's something red right of frame. Oh. We've got it now. It was a piece of Velcro. Sorry about that. Not my fault. I'll have Eggsy beaten severely with a stick as soon as we go off air. Good heavens, Marianne. Are you sure you really want me to share this publicly? Marianne, you say you have your leopard pajamas on at the moment, and you feel a leopard coming on. Well, I hope your feeling is your feeling is well founded, and that we shall see a leopard that resembles your leopard pajamas. Anybody else want to share what pajamas they're wearing at the moment? That's great, Marianne. Some Karula pajamas. Brilliant. I'm not sure why I find that amusing, but I really do. Right, we're now on the southern boundary. Now, for those of you who don't know, I know we've had a number of new viewers lately, which is marvellous. This is the southern boundary of the reserve that we work on. To the right of us is called Little Gowrie. And Little Gowrie, of course, you can see there is no fence between Vuyatela, which is where we operate, and Little Gowrie over here. So the animals are free to come and go as they please, as indeed those animals there that went across Buffalo went across there did. But we obviously cannot go down there. So we always check it, do a little boundary patrol in the mornings. Brent is up on the northern boundary now, checking to see if the lions haven't crossed to the north. And that's our main sort of area of operation to the left of the screen. Then way down the road there you'll see the horizon disappearing. Just over that horizon is where Cheetah Plains is, and we go across there. That's probably where I'm going to head this morning, and therefore you will be coming with us. And towards there is the Kruger National Park. Between us and there, Torchwood on the left, Chitwa Chitwa on the right, and animals could, like we say, could free to come and go as they please in any of those properties. We, because of our complicated human poverty laws, cannot go anywhere, and also because, of course, we don't get signal from everywhere. So that's how we operate, and we operate on about 6,500 acres of land, and that in hectares you divide by 2.5, 2.4, and you should get to somewhere around, it's about 2,500 hectares. Righty. Well, we have yet to see a mammal this morning. Oh, no, we have seen a steenbok. That's good. Well done, Eggsy. It was a good start. We'd like to finish it off with something much larger, perhaps. A giraffe. Now, I must just keep an eye on the road, because the road is the bush newspaper, is the cliche that we at Wild Earth like to use. It tells you the story of what went on in the night. And in this case, not very much. A couple of scrub hares went knocking about the place. Scrub hare is actually quite an interesting track. Let me see if I can show you one here. Ooh, that is a deeply unpleasant sound, especially for this time of the morning. No, that's not actually a scrub hare at all, it's a squirrel. No, those are not very clear, everyone. Let me find some slightly clearer ones. Scrub hares, of course, our only rabbit. Thank you, Cat in Kansas. You say that you're wearing Mickey Mouse pajamas. Good. So we've got Mickey Mouse and leopard pajamas. Anyone else? Lion King pajamas? And Stephanie, you're wearing Lion King pajamas? Wonderful. And the Queen of Juma on Twitter, she's just contacting us from wherever she happens to be in the ether. She says she always wears leopard print pajamas. Yes, I'm sure you do, Queen of Juma. That's exactly what you should be wearing. Let's head across to Brent before things get too ridiculous and find out what's happening his side.
That's an interesting discussion for a sunrise safari, pajamas. Brian, what pajamas do you wear?
I don't wear any pajamas.
Me too. I think the member of our camp who likes her pajamas the most is definitely Jamie. Hence, one of her nicknames is Pajamas. Okay, so we've got no tracks of the Pride coming north across the boundaries. Only tracks that single male. Now I'm going to double check back towards where we were. And while I do that, we're just going to switch off the engine and idle down the road. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm hoping that with the engine off, if they roll out deal, even if they contact call softly, I'll be able to hear them. Now what I am hoping is they haven't crossed above that crest there. We haven't driven that section of the road yet. But there were a lot of vultures, which is quite strange. They could be left over from the carcass, but they are probably about a kilometer to the east of the carcass. And I wonder if we've got the world's first nocturnal flying vultures. Because if the lions have managed to catch something overnight, I suppose if they're close by, they would have heard it. Shamsung says she didn't realize vultures were so endangered. And are there any conservation groups working with them? Quite a lot. Shamsung, BirdLife International, BirdLife South Africa, the Vulture Focus Group, and in particular, there's a couple of species that are really, really on the precipice throughout Africa. Now, one of the biggest threats that faces vultures when they leave protected areas like we're in at the moment is the poisoning of carcasses. So a lot of rural farmers, if their livestock gets killed by a predator, from a jackal to a lion or a leopard, one of the worst things that happens out in there's a thing called temic. And temic is often, its nickname is two-step. So after any creature eats it, it takes 2 steps and kills over. It's highly, highly poisonous, highly illegal in most countries, but it is used in rural Africa, and it's not illegal in quite a lot of the African countries up north. And a carcass poisoned with two-step can kill 100, 200 vultures in a go. And also, another thing that threatens the vultures is the black magic trade, or the witchcraft trade. Vulture parts are highly sought after. Now, the eyes in particular. Now, because vultures are able to see from so far, in a lot of cultures it's believed that if you, I don't know how, I've never actually seen, but I think you mix vultures' eyes into some form of concoction to drink, and you're able to see into the future. So as I said, yeah, there's only about 150, I'm trying to remember, 1,500, sorry, pairs of white-backed vultures in the Lowveld of South Africa. It's one of the largest populations. I mean, that's at least 1,500 birds. 3,000 birds, plus another stragglers, ones that haven't paired up yet, so we call it 3,500 to 4,000 birds. And there's only about 270,000 white-backed vultures left in the whole of Africa, and they're by far the most common of the vulture species. Now, lappet-faced vultures under far more threat. Cape vultures also, because they need very specific breeding sites, and a lot of those breeding sites are outside of protected areas. White-backed vultures nest in mostly knobthorn trees in this area, but Cape vultures only nest on cliffs. So a lot of those cliffs and areas are surrounded by farming areas where there's either not much food or there's compromised food. Now, the white-headed vultures, out of the bigger vulture, carrion vulture species, is the most rare. And I think there's only 8 breeding pairs in the whole of the Greater Kruger, and maybe 2 or 3 more up the Limpopo area. Now, we do see them from time to time, and there's massive conservation initiatives surrounding vultures. There's a bit of mist forming down here, Brian. So if our lens mists up, we do apologize. It is a bitterly cold 9 degrees. Can you remember the Fahrenheit, Brian? I think 14 something, high 40s something. And of course, I'm very jealous of Brian and his thumb today, because they're warm, and I forgot my gloves. Let's just have a quick look on this little road. Now, it's good we haven't found any tracks crossing the northern boundary. What it does mean is that the lions could be in this very difficult area to the north of the lodges. And it is quite an intense place to take a vehicle through. But don't worry, we'll do it if they're there. I think one of the things that a lot of new safari guides struggle with is the off-roading. I think on some of the training courses they do a bit of off-roading, but nothing that can prepare you for what you actually have to do when you're out in the African bush following big cats or wild dogs. Well, we're going to keep going very, very slowly and checking for these lion tracks. While we do that, I'm sure James has got some interesting information to share with you.
Nothing quite as interesting as the information regarding pyjamas worn by the various viewers today, and all the lack thereof of Brian and Brent. But we do have a crested francolin, and I've been making something of a study of the crested francolin of late. They just have very beautiful feathers. I'm quite enjoying them in the early morning here. They're sitting underneath what is now my favourite jackalberry tree. It has done its fruiting and has attracted many things to it during the course of the last few weeks. Many monkeys and baboons. We came here because I saw some baboon tracks coming across the boundary. Hello, Kathy Stewart. You say your pyjamas are plaid? Really? I don't know what that means. But you also say, what bird sounds like a loud, annoying donkey? I can't think of a bird that sounds like a loud, annoying donkey. There has been a chap in camp lately who laughs like a donkey, but I don't know that you would have heard him on the dam cam. It could be a francolin, maybe a very loud francolin, with a sort of croaky voice. But I can't really think of a a bird that sounds like a loud, annoying donkey. Anyway, we're going to go just down into the river bit here and back out onto the southern boundary. I just thought we'd come and check out this magnificent tree because it has been so very good for animals and birds of late. Ooh, Eggsy. Right on the top there is a green pigeon. Oh, they're quite splendid things. There we go. Boom. Oh, look at the colour. Eh? Isn't that nice? Beautiful. Now he is just loving the fact that there's finally some fruit back for him to eat. He'd far rather eat fruit than anything else. Isn't that amazing? And they're a much bigger fruitarian, the grey go-away bird. And you can just see the new light of the day starting to touch his undersides there as he hangs precariously from the branches. And you can probably hear in the background also a lovely sound of the hoopoes going whoop, 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 whoop. You can also hear a brew going frrrr, frrrr, frrrr. Some babblers in the distance. Oh, it's a stunning, stunning morning. This would be a good place, Eggsy, to sit and have some coffee, watch the world go by. Did you bring some?
Unfortunately, no.
You didn't?
No.
Well, we're going to have a word about that, you and I.
Okay.
We'll have to have a word about that and other recalcitrants. What did you do wrong again? Oh, yes, you're putting the red thing in front of the lens. Dreadful. Dreadful behaviour. Right, let us go. Let us go into the riverbed. The audio is soft. How is it now, Rebecca? I don't know why it's soft, everybody. The microphone is in my head. I'm shortly to have it surgically applied. Ah, now we have a Natal francolin as well. And it is running away. It is terrified of us. There we go. Birdie from Georgia, you say you saw a sunset safari. You saw a crested francolin on the sunset safari. Birdie, yes, you did, and you will probably see them on many safaris because they are very common, and they're the first bird that we hear in the morning. That one is slightly different, as you can see there. It is slightly different coloured feathers. It's got a slightly pinkish yellow bill, pinkish at the front, yellow at the back, and it's got pinky orange legs. And that is the Natal, used to be Franklin, now spurfowl, and it's called a spurfowl. If you look very carefully when it moves its legs, you can see there is a spur on the back of them, and that's what the males use to fight with each other. Much like a cock has, a chicken, if you know what I mean. Eggsy, you know what a chicken is, don't you? That was the first bird on your bird list, the chicken. And the chickens, of course, when they used to cockfight them, they have the vicious spur. They were bred for that vicious spur on one of the legs. And that is what those have. That's why they're called spur fowl. On we go. There's the sun coming up. And we're going to head into it as we head towards the east, possibly to Cheetah Plains. There haven't been any tracks so far. Ah, Shelley Good, very nice suggestion. It could well be the Egyptian goose that sounds like an annoying donkey. Does that sound right? Horrible noise. Especially early in the morning. We have this fellow, like I was telling you, in camp. And he's a mechanic, and he's come to do some work around the Djuma workshop. Well, he's a very cheerful fellow, but he has a laugh that goes... He sounds like he's dying. He sounds like a donkey in the throes of being murdered by a leopard. And he's so cheerful that his rasping yells and bellowing brays, well, they ring out over the camp for hours upon hour, such that you just cannot wait to get out on game drive again. He's now known around the camp as Mpongolo, and Mpongolo is the Shangaan sort of slang for donkey. That's what everyone calls him. Not sure what his real name is, actually. I think it's just Mpongolo. There are no further tracks of anything in the riverbed here other than one or two duiker that seem to have scuttled across in the night. I've quite destroyed my throat, you know, with that bellowing. Ah, Farmer John, I described the other day that I'd eaten a Franklin, a Swainson's Franklin. You want to know what kind of Franklin it was? It was a Swainson's. That's the one with the red face. Lovely hornbill shot here. Hang on one sec, Farmer John. The Swainson's Franklin, Farmer John, is not to be eaten unless it has been roasted for many, many hours. Just listen to this fellow. Listen to him calling. Don't stop now. Come on. Keep going. Obviously, he's now not calling. But Farmer John, I've known people who've eaten all kinds of Franklins. Not a lot of meat on a Franklin, there's quite a lot of feather. So you might need a few if you're very hungry, or if you're trying to feed a family. There, he's calling now. Right, I can't find any tracks of anything coming onto Djuma that I didn't think was there already, so we're going to head due east into the sunrise to see if we can find anything on Cheetah Plains. While we do that, let us find out how the patrol of the northern boundary has been faring with Brent Leo Smythe.
Well, we can't find any tracks leaving Djuma. So, well, it's positive. This is the one time we don't want to find tracks. So we've double checked, made sure when it was a bit darker I didn't miss any tracks. So now we're going to head further to the east, and you can see the wonderful light starting to creep through as the sun gets quite high already above the eastern horizon. Where are all my toys and gadgets? I'm looking for specific gadgets now. And I can't help myself. I have to check down the road just in case. Once or twice I have found lions sleeping on the road like this, but not this morning. Lots of buffalo tracks and impala tracks. Hyena. That's an interesting one. Very interesting one. Quite a funny one. Not one we would normally see too often. You got that one there, Brian. Well, haha. Actually, I think it's time for a quiz. What do you think, Brian? Now, there is an interesting track, and the giveaway is in the center of the track. So, there we go. That is the giveaway. It is a very difficult one. I'm going to give this a grade 3 over-camera tracking quiz question. So, this is for all the money, your senior tracker evaluation. What made those tracks there? If you know, send me an email, questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. That is a difficult one. Time to use that grey matter this morning. I know it's early, but I think maybe 1 or 2 people might sneak through with the correct answer there. We shall see. Now, as we keep heading east, it's still a positive, no lion tracks. Now, the one thing I'm hoping is that they haven't taken a shortcut through here and crossed in at the bottom of this little hill. It's one of their favorite areas to do such a thing, to leave us and go to Buffelshoek. So Aubrey says he thought the lions were roaring from around Sour Plum Road in Buffelshoek, which is this road. So we should see, looks like there was a herd of buffalo here last night. Now that could have definitely drawn the lions this way. Now the reason I know it's not Duggar Boys, you can see there's some smaller dung, but also this is dung that's been deposited while moving at high speed. Now, what I'm looking for is a running lion track on top. And anyone who watches the Djuma Dam cam, let me know if there was a herd of buffalo that drank sometime over the night. I'm not seeing any lion tracks on top. Maybe they were a bit slow getting going due to those fat bellies from the buffalo they'd just finished eating. I see. That was quick. I thought that one was going to keep guys going for a bit longer, but well done, Liz. It is indeed an African civet, and it lay down in the road, and that was that patch around the track. Oh, not bad. Well done. Level 3 for Liz. Now we are facing a lion conundrum. Did they follow those buffalo to the north? But I can't see any tracks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on the radio with Aubrey and see where he's checking, because I know he's checking to the north, and see if he's had any luck up there. Aubrey. Oops, I can't find any Nkonzo crossing into Buffelshoek, and there's a lot of Makoti on that shortcut off Gallagher, the one that goes through to Buffelshoek Cutline, and there's Nkonzo Vahlami Vinyari crossing at Gari Cutline Junction, Buffelshoek Cutline. I'm going to check Buffelshoek Dam quickly, and then I'm going to head back to where those Makoti were. Copy, thanks. Alright, so Aubrey is in the north. He's checking around where he thought those audio were from. Now, it's possible that one male might have gone off on a mission, but I have an inkling that the rest of the pride are still on Juma. But I just want to check towards Buffelshoek Waterhole. I heard males calling this way at about 3 o'clock this morning, and I got up to have a drink of water. Now, we've been chatting about vultures and how much pressure they're under. And Reese, very good morrow to you, Reese. Reese is from the land down under, Australia. Reese would like to know what animals would be affected if the vultures were to go extinct. Strangely enough, almost all the animals. Now, the vultures are one of the cleanup crew of the bush, and they are able to eat absolutely vile, putrid, rotting things. Now, if they were to be removed, you often find in areas where vulture populations have had a crash, you start getting disease outbreaks amongst predators and amongst all animals due to the fact that there's just rotting carrion all over the place. And that's not very good. So there's a reason that vultures and hyenas and lions are designed to be able to eat stuff that would make most animals keel over and die in a second. Vultures also seem to be immune to anthrax, so anthrax carcasses they will eat. So they're very, very important little cog in the ecosystem. Actually, quite a big cog in the ecosystem. So it is well, almost everything will be affected from a large mammal and point of view if vultures are removed from an ecosystem. Okay, let's have a quick squiz at the Buffelshoek Waterhole. Sorry, Orbs, go again. Ngomvo. Thanks very much, Orbs. Oh, dearie, dearie, dearie me. Not so dearie, dearie me. Copy, thanks, Orbs. Confirm how many on site are there? Copy, thanks. Yeah, they must come fetch one time sometime soon. Okay, so yes, it is dairy meat. All 7 adult lions that we had yesterday, and have been very successful. And I just forgot who said they thought they heard buffalo distress on the Djuma Dam cam last night. Lucy, you are indeed correct. They've got a double kill in Buffelshoek. It sounds like 2 sub-adult buffalo, and no cubs are there yet, so we do have a chance at lions still this morning. So I'm going to keep listening. If any of those lionesses leave, they're going to head back to Djuma to fetch the cubs, and we'll go follow them back across to the boundary, hopefully. Over they're so full, and now they've got 2 more buffalo. So let's be realistic. We're probably not going to see lions for a day or 2, maybe 3, unless some of the Birminghams come up from the south where they've been with the Styx Pride. But that's how the cookie crumbles, so they say. So, well, it gives us a chance to focus on everything else. Okay, so we're up the Buffelshoek waterhole. Let's see what's happening here. Now, Eggsy was too scared to guess when the water was going to be completely dry. Brian, are you up for it? Oh, there we go. Brave man, Brian Joubert, with the thumb leading the way. Today is the 20th, I can't remember, 24th.
20th of September.
20th of September. That's quite a long. That's a big gap. I say it's done in 2 weeks.
There's going to be a sprinkle.
Brian thinks it's going to be a sprinkle. Brian is a lot more confident than me about the weather that's coming. I think 10 to 14 days. End of the month. Or the 4th of September. Dry as a bone. Do I hear elephants? Let me just listen for a second. I heard something. I'm not sure what it was, but it was quite far away. Well, let's meander in that direction. Always love checking. Oh, look at that. That's actually very pretty. There's some mist in the little entrance, the eastern entrance into Buffelshoek, little river that comes in there, and very, very pretty. Hard to believe, but not that long ago, this was full of water. When I started, there was sometimes 12 to 15 hippos that used to be seen there. Aubrey. Orbs, that Ingwe audio you had last night, whereabouts do you think it was? So Aubrey thought he heard leopard last night, west of Gallagher. Copy, thank you very much. I'm going to slowly make my way back towards that area and have a look. Okay. Now, Aubrey says he heard leopard calling last night somewhere west of Gallagher. So we are unfortunately deep in the east at the moment, but that's not a problem. We'll just slowly meander our way back there, enjoying all the incredible things that might be out in the African bush on this absolutely exquisite winter's morning. Now, I did say this a couple of days ago, we had a beautifully warm winter's morning, and it was about 20 degrees Celsius, which I think is 70 Fahrenheit. And then that day, I think it got to like 95 Fahrenheit. And I remember saying, oh, I don't trust this weather. August has a way of snapping back cold, and that's exactly what it did. Lulled us into a false sense of shorts weather was here. Hi, Dina. Dina's wondering what it's like weather-wise in July. Now, Dina, that is winter, so cold mornings, warm days, and cold after the sun sets. Well, depends on your definition of cold. Mornings can be anything from sort of 5 degrees Celsius to around 12, 13, warming up to generally around 25 degrees Celsius midday, and then, of course, just after sunset, dropping down again. Very good time of the year to travel to the African bush. It is the dry season, so visibility is quite good, and the cats are out and about. Also, if you happen to be lucky enough in the area where wild dogs, they normally are in dens and at that time of the year. Well, I think this is the first animal we've seen all morning, Brian. Hello, boys. All fluffed up from the cold. And of course the ever-present fork-tailed drongo just above them, hoping that they disturb some insects. Now you can, in this early morning light, you can see the very distinct sort of black lines. Oh, obviously he turns his bottom away from us now. Let's go forward a bit. On the impala's rump. Now, there's quite a few different theories to why they have those lines. Some people think it's to confuse predators as they run away. I myself am not so sure of that. Oh, there's one who's presenting his rear to us. Oh, he was a terrible creature. But those black lines, creatures or ectoparasites like ticks are drawn to dark areas. So you probably, the most likely reason, and it seems to be quite true, is those dark lines on the impala's bottom and on its tail are to attract the ticks away from the soft bits and try to keep them out of the I'm trying to see how to say this nicely. Brian, any ideas? The soft bits, yeah, the soft bits work. The nether regions. The sensitive bits. So I think we're going to head up towards our eastern edge of our Traverse area, and we're going to slowly work our way back up towards the west. Now I hear James has made his way down towards Cheetah Plains, and he's somehow found something to help him with his slight disadvantage.
We're live, Eggsy. Just trying to figure out whether we were live or not. Oh, is my audio all right? Oh, amazing, you can hear me. I am playing Hornbill, everybody, by standing upon this enormous termite mound here on Cheetah Plains, the sun warming my very cold face. It has become substantially colder than the springtime weather we've been having over the last few days. Now, the reason I'm standing atop this termite mound is twofold, in fact threefold. One, for the sun, 2, because I know that there is a cheetah sighting going on northwest of us there, at least northeast of us, on Nkoro. It's possible that those cheetah could come down across onto Cheetah Plains, so that'll be good to know about. Then the third thing is this very special tree here. And it's quite rare, and it's quite rare in these parts because of the elephants. Elephants love to eat them, and they have a very delicious smelling fruit. But they belong to the genus Comifera. Now, should I fall down off this mound, everybody, please don't laugh at me. Please just close your eyes and pretend it didn't happen. There we are. Oh, Eggsy. It's like watching a mountain goat, I'm sure. It's a Comifera tree, and the Comiferas, they smell very citrusy around the sap, and the fruit doesn't taste very nice at all. But the roots, I think it's the roots, they've been used for many, many thousands of years, of course, to make frankincense, to make myrrh. This is the tree from which myrrh was made. And I think it's the roots. And there are lots and lots of different kinds of Comiferas, but they grow up into the Middle East, and that's where myrrh comes from, the Comifera. And this particular one I cannot identify because it doesn't have any leaves yet. But if you look very carefully on the top there, you can see that there's a bud starting to form on the end of the spine. So it doesn't have thorns, it's got these spines, which are just sharp-edged branches. Good. On we go. I'll try and plug myself back in again. There we are. We did have tracks of the Styx Pride as well, everybody, with the little babies. And they've gone up into there, again, towards sort of, towards the Nkoro side. But they might come back across, so we'll keep having a look. Righty. On we go. It's a very beautiful morning out here, I must say, but it is very cold. Rebecca, I'm afraid I missed that. You're going to have to go again. Just look at the hornbill on top here, and then the hornbill on the termite mound. Hello, Birdie and George, as we look at that hornbill eating termites out of the termite mound there, and the other one doing precisely what I was doing. That's sunning himself. A hornbill loves to sun himself in the early morning. Birdie, you want to know what the best time of year to see birds is, or the most number of species of birds? Birdie, any time sort of after November, I would say late November, December, January, when maybe mid-November. You need a little bit of rain to have come first to have created a sort of emergence of insects, and then when all the migrants are back, and that is normally sort of by the end of, well, I mean, normally middle October everyone's back. But if there's a particularly good rain year, you'll get all sorts of vagrants coming through. So in a particularly good rain year, then you want sort of November, December. He's eating termites. That's a big soldier termite he's caught there. And Aqua, you've just ignited, of course, the next debate that's going to happen about the about the woodland kingfisher. You say, when's it going to come back? You miss hearing it. Aqua, I'm going to say about the 15th of October or so, because I think they came back quite late last year. Brent reckons a month earlier than that. He said 12 to 15 September. I seem to remember them coming back very late last year, sort of mid-October time. So if anybody can remember exactly when they came back last year, that would be great. But I do remember hearing them for the first time, and for 2 days I heard them before I saw them, and that was at the Djuma Dam, and I think somebody spotted them on the camera before we actually spotted them. So one of the zoomies managed to see a woodland kingfisher last year before anyone else did, and I think that was in the middle of October. There's a waterbuck, everybody, a Cheetah Plains waterbuck. James Richard, you want to know when the violet-backed starling is going to come back? I'm going to say probably early September, but I'm going to look for you on my bird app. And you also want to know what else I am very excited to see, migratory birds-wise. Well, of course, we had the magnificent sighting of the Wahlberg's eagle yesterday, so that was great. Let me just quickly check for you. No, it only comes in October, actually. So the violet-backed starling only comes back in October. What else am I looking forward to seeing other than the woodland kingfisher? I would say that I am most looking forward to seeing the... I don't know, James. I'm trying to think of the... Oh, you know what I really like to see are the kestrels, the Amur falcon. The Amur falcon, which flies around and catches the termites in its talons in the air and then feeds on the wing. I'd really like to see one of those again, and I'm looking forward to see. I'm hoping that we'll have big flocks of them this year, like we didn't have last year. We just had one or two lone stragglers because there wasn't a great deal of insect life in the air. But in a good rain year, these enormous flocks of hundreds of the Amur falcon come flying across the skies and they catch insects. The most amazing thing to see. They swing their legs forward, catch the insects, put them up to their mouths, eat, and then carry on flying. It's an amazing thing to witness. Right, that was a waterbuck, about which we didn't really talk, but that's okay. Quite fluffy in the cold morning. Those cheetahs seem to have gone off to the north, I'm afraid, so I don't think we're going to see them. And Fuzzman Sparkles, a lovely one from you again about migratory birds. You say, when are the white storks going to come back? And when are the Abdam's storks going to come back? I don't know. Abdam's stork I've never seen here. I suppose there's a slightly greater chance of finding them on the clearings of Cheetah Plains, Fuzzman Sparkles. The white stork, I think, will definitely be here by the end of September. But the Abdams I've definitely never seen here, and I've been in the Sabi Sands for quite a while. I've heard of them being seen once or twice here, but they're not common around here. I'm just listening quite carefully to the Game Drive radios, going insane in my head, because there are bits and pieces going on Coral. People are finding tracks of things all over the place, and some of them might be coming down south here to Cheetah Plains. Right, we're approaching now 3 in a row pan. And we'll see what we can find there. November the 16th. Now, so Chris Rogue, thank you very much for that, because I said to somebody in camp yesterday, I'm sure it was only November we saw the woodland kingfisher, and they all said, you're mad, it's much earlier than that. November the 16th was the first woodland kingfisher we saw last year. Thank you for that, Chris Rogue. Oh, a great swathe of animal life up ahead of us here, everybody. Wildebeest and zebra streaming across the plains. Well, a few of them grazing in the woodland. Let's have a look-see. Beautiful. Here we are. Wildebeest. I mean, these are not very common, of course. Now, just to keep you posted, rather excitingly, I'm going off to the Mara Triangle. That's in northern Kenya, and southern Kenya, sorry. That'll be on Friday. And we're going to see if we can't do if we don't have the technical capability to do a live broadcast from there. We probably won't actually broadcast anything, but we are going to do an experiment, so that's quite fun. And there, of course, we will hopefully see tens of thousands of these blue wildebeest over there. They're called the brindled gnu, and they are the same species as this, but they have a white beard, as opposed to this sort of, eggsy-coloured brown beard. Eggsy, your beard is even more impressive than the wildebeest's beard. So that is quite exciting. We'll keep you posted as to what's going on. No guarantees, of course, that we'll get any kind of signal, but we'll just go and see what we can do. And there's a single zebra in the middle of the herd there. There he is. Oh, there's another one behind him. Thank you, Rebecca. Yes, I've seen that one. Thank you so much for your help. You can hear a bearded woodpecker in the background. You might also be able to hear the tearing of the grass by the wildebeest next to us. Wonderful. Eggsy, I might be persuaded to take a photograph, you know. Such is the magnificence of this backlit sighting. I'm just listening to the radio. I think those cheetahs have gone to the north, I'm afraid, so we're not going to see them unless they decide to turn around, which of course they might. It would be very kind of them to turn around. Oh, and listen, it's the first Shivambalana that I've heard for a little while. That is the green or the emerald spotted wood dove. And there's a lovely expression in Shangaan that goes Shirila Shivambalana, which means you cry like that, like the mournful call of the green spotted dove. And it is such a mournful sound. These guys, this is a really quite special sighting, and I'll tell you why. Because wildebeest A are not very common in the Sabi Sand. There are probably only about 200 of them or so. But these guys are coming right around us. They're sort of totally ignoring us, and they're very seldom this confiding, very seldom this fearless of us. It's really quite special. I believe there's a few issues with the audio today. I'm sorry about that. We don't really know why. It might be that the tone of my voice is just a little bit deep after my small throat infection. Hello, Zoe. You want to know if there's any plant out here that might help me with my sore throat. There is a plant that is commonly used, and I think it is quite effective, but we don't actually find it too much here because there isn't a permanent water source. And that's called Lipia javanica, or the Bushman's tea. But I am going to... Oh, no, I've left my medicinal plant book at home. I think there are probably a few that you could use as a sort of general analgesic, if you like, or something that would take away general pain and colds and flu. Certainly, Brian and I were reading about the apple leaf tree the other day. You can take an apple leaf, I think it's the bark, you can powder the bark, burn it, and inhale the smell, or inhale the smoke, and that smoke apparently will help. I'm not really sure that that's going to work. I think inhaling smoke into your lungs when you have a throat infection is a particularly silly plan myself. But if it works for you, why not? But my throat is definitely healed, but I've always found whenever I've had a little throaty issue, I always sound like James Earl Jones for the next week or so. So you can say things like, "This is CNN International." Or you can be Darth Vader. "Luke, I am your father." Sorry, Eggsy. Let's concentrate on the wildlife here. Now, we've gone on about how awful the drought has been. But look at these things. I think they're doing a rather splendid job of surviving this drought. Dark tranquility, just as I was being Darth Vader, you've come onto the airwaves. How auspicious is that? You say you love the sound of them tearing at the grass. I think it's the most wonderful sound. I don't know, I find it so comforting, and I'm not sure why. Now look at this chap here, Eggsy. Rebecca, it keeps going on about the fact that I've said there was one zebra to start with. All right, Rebecca, there is a whole herd there, a whole herd of zebra. Are you happy? Thank you. Now, what I was saying about these wildebeest is that they, I think, have done a very good job of getting through the drought season, and if we get a little bit of rain fairly soon, I think they'll be fine. And also, I think if you look carefully at the belly of this one, this cow, I think you can see that she's pregnant. And so she will hopefully have a little wildebeest calf, and hopefully the Styx Pride will be too busy killing large buffalo to worry about her little babies. They're so vulnerable to lions, wildebeest calves. And in the Mara and the Serengeti and that whole ecosystem, they're a little bit like impala, where they flood the market to the extent that no number of predators can possibly dent their numbers because there are so many of them. But out here that isn't the case. And they're just very easy to kill when they're little. And so, if there isn't much else to eat, they do tend to take a horrible pasting from the lions. Hello, Stephanie. A good question from you. You say, why do lions prefer buffalo to wildebeest? And the short answer, Stephanie, is that they don't. But what they do like is a good-sized meal, A, and B, they'll take what they can get. Now, there are only about 200 wildebeest in the entire Sabi Sands. That's really not many at all. But in terms of buffalo, there are probably at least 1,000 or so, especially lots of those dugger boys or bulls that live on their own. And so you'll find that the lions are just coming across the buffalo a lot more frequently than they're coming across the wildebeest, and that's why they don't eat wildebeest nearly as much. If there were more wildebeest than there are buffalo, as is the case in the Mara and Serengeti ecosystem, you'd find they'd eat far more of these than they would of the buffalo. But it's a very valid question. Hello, Kelly. You're wondering if wildebeest and zebra are in the same family. Kelly, they are more distantly related than you are from a lion. They're not closely related. The stripes are, I'll just tell you which families they are just now, but the striping that you can see is an example of what we call convergent evolution, where two totally different species or unrelated species have evolved a similar strategy to cope with similar environmental conditions. The conditions in this case being that lions want to eat you. And so because of that sort of situation that persists, they've both developed stripes, which we think helps them to break up the outline when they're living in the woodland and when lions are trying to get at them. Now, Kelly, let's just have a last look at these wildies because we don't see them like this very often. If you can get onto the feet there, Eggsy, that would be great. Any kind of foot shots that you can get. Right. Kelly, you can see they're cloven-hooved. In the same way that a cow is cloven-hooved. That means they belong to the order of the even-toed ungulates. Alright, now in order, you get a species, then you get a genus, then you get a family, and then you get an order. And so each category gets bigger and bigger. So a zebra belongs to a completely different order. So they belong to the odd-toed ungulates. Excuse me. And then because they have a single foot, they're like a horse. They've got a single hoof, not that split hoof like the even-toed ungulates have. So I'm not sure if that makes sense to you, but basically, if you think of, right, well, you're a primate, obviously, and we're primates, and lions are carnivores. Those are two different orders. The carnivores and the primates are two different orders of animal. So these two animals here, the zebra and the wildebeest, they belong to totally different orders, which means they are very, very deeply, distantly related. But they live in similar conditions, they've evolved similar condition or similar strategies to cope with similar environmental conditions. And I mean, they're so distantly related, Kelly, that the zebra doesn't even have the same digestive system. It's a completely different digestive system to the ruminant, which is, well, or to the wildebeest, which is a ruminant. Much more modern, the wildebeest, than the zebra. And Melanie, you're wondering why they're living together. Well, it's for the same reason that if you are, let's say that you're walking down a street in a place that you don't really know and you're feeling unsafe and you don't have any friends there, but there are people around the place. You're going to go and sort of, I guess, move towards the people that look friendly, that look like they're similar to you. And what's going on here is that they're basically doing the same thing. The animals out here feel unsafe when they're alone, and so species that don't harm each other, like these zebra and these wildebeest, sometimes you'll find impala and waterbuck with them at the same time, they will spend time together with each other in order to try and stay safe. They use each other's eyes and each other's ears and each other's sense of smell to avoid predators. Speaking of predators, Brent has death that comes from the sky.
Now, it's an interesting death that comes from above. Of course, there's a fork-tailed dronga in company, but I'm going to just use my camera to get a closer look at that. Okay, so let's have a look with the camera. I think it could be one of the vagrants returning, but I don't think it's a Wahlbergs. Looks a bit big. Okay, I need to lighten up the picture. So it's not going to win any photographic awards, but what I'm looking for is the gape. Now, the gape is how long the mouth is and where it extends to. So on the different raptors, Now, the reason I don't think it's a Wahlberg's is that the beak is far too robust. Oh, it's just in the worst light. I can just make out where the gape extends to. And I'm just going to try lighten it again, just to make doubly sure. So for me it's a bit big for a Wahlberg's. Sitting in difficult light as well. There we go. Just pump up the light. Maybe it's just a very fluffy one. Okay. So we're doing some proper bird work now. And I'll show you what I mean now. And Brian's going to zoom in there. I'm going to keep my head in the shadow so it makes it easier for you to see. So what I'm talking about when I refer to the gape is how far the mouth extends to the eye. Now, what are we looking for? Eagles. Okay. The tawny eagle has a very shallow gape. Now there's lots of variations on tawny eagles, so you've got to be quite careful. Now that one, the more I look at it, maybe it's just a very fluffy Wahlberg's. Oopsie. Oh, it doesn't matter. There we go. So you can see the gape, what I'm talking about there. It extends all the way almost to the center of the eye. Now the others, like a steppe eagle, the gape extends to the end or behind the eye. But steppe eagle's too big. I feel a tawny eagle's too big. Now let's just have a quick look there again. I'll zoom in now. There was one I wanted to check. There we go. Could be a very good species, and it is what I thought it was. So a shallow gape, small but bigger than a Wahlberg's, but smaller than a tawny. I just want to check one more thing on the camera. Oh, sorry, my cap's getting in the way. But there we go. I'm pretty sure, and this could be a nice new species for quite a lot of you. I just want to have a quick look here. Yep, I'm pretty certain it's a pale morph booted eagle. I wanted to make very sure before I made that call. We've had some interesting bird calls recently, but with all these eagles, if you have a look, there's so many different variations, and of course there's variations on the variations. So especially with booted, one has to be quite careful. There we go. I think that might be a really nice new bird species for everyone. You can see it's migrant to this area, so it's a bit early, but I'm pretty sure it's a pale morph booted eagle. So really good species, not a very common one for the Sabi Sands. Now I saw, whoopsie, sorry, there we go, pale morph booted eagle. Now, so slightly bigger than a Wahlberg's, but definitely smaller than tawny or steppe. And I actually saw a very similar morph of that booted eagle last year, not on Safari Live, but while I was at home in Hoedspruit, not too far from here. So really, really cool, really exciting. So hopefully that's definitely a new bird for some of your lists. If it is a new bird for you, please let me know. And also let me know how your bird lists are going. And I'm sure some people have been adding immense amounts of birds to their list. Let me know how your bird lists are going. Hashtag Safari Live or questions@wildearth.tv. Well, hi Liz. Liz is wondering, what is the size comparison to an American bald eagle? Now Liz, I have never seen an American bald eagle, unfortunately. I would love to, but as far as my understanding goes, they are very big birds. So I'd say it's probably quite a bit smaller than the bald eagle. let me know, preferably centimeters. Actually, let me just see if my thing does inches. No. So let me know how big a bald eagle is in centimeters, and I'll be able to let you know what the size comparison is. I'm sorry, but we are metric out here, and I do struggle with the imperial system. But please let me know, what is the American bald eagle's average length in centimeters? You can do that by sending me an email, questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Oh, I can't believe I'm getting out from under my blankie. Oh, are we rolling away? But we cannot drive past rubbish. Now this one I think fell off and has been out here for a while, and I think with the dry weather it's finally come to the surface. Everything's harder to do when it's cold, I think. There we go. I suppose it's all what you used to. You hear that, Brian? Just going to keep quiet for a second. I'm almost certain I just heard a kudu bark. Go on, bark again. Very, very. It was quite close. That's why I'm keeping quite quiet, and I'm just keeping my earpiece out for a second. Come on, bark again. Could there be a leopard around the corner? Well, we'll just go a little bit further. I felt like it was down the road ahead. Very interesting. Well, I'll definitely be keeping my eye open for tracks, but whatever happens on today's Sunrise Safari, I think we've won. A pale morph booted eagle is a really good species for this area. I'm quite excited. Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
There we go. Well done, Barbara, who's on 152, and that's a new bird species for her. Now, one must remember, thinking of a booted eagle, because it begins with a B, and B is the best letter in the alphabet, isn't it, Brian? Brent and Brian think bees are best, and we'll be celebrating all things killer bees and bee in a few short days on Killer Bee Day, the 28th of August. Now, we unintentionally chose the 28th, and it turned out that by pure chance, it's also International Bow Tie Day, so it also begins with a wonderful bee. Michael, unfortunately for Michael, his name doesn't begin with a B, but Michael is wondering, what are the plans for Killer Bee Day? Oh, so much of fun is planned for Killer Bee Day. We will definitely be birding, and I think we're going to try the 50 species challenge. I think we'll move it over 2 days. Over two drives, not 2 days. We'll also be searching for anything that begins with a B, Burchell starlings, booted eagles, butterflies, and there will be some challenges for you guys out there. I think we're going to hide all things killer bee related around Djuma, and you're going to have to spot them, and we're not going to make it too easy for you. And what else did we plan, Brian? A beatbox? A beatbox, maybe? I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to be much help in that. I just go. It's about the sum total of my beatboxing abilities. Oh, we'd have to plan. If anyone's got any good ideas for the Killer Bee Day, you can send them through on questions@wildearth.tv or hashtags #FireLive, and Fire Animal Control will forward those on to us for our, what would we say, for our inspection. And if there are any great ones, we will definitely add them to the joy that is going to be the day of the killer bees. Trying to think of any other bees, Brian. Maybe we'll even find a bee. Now, thanks very much, Joe. The bald eagle, haha, good eagle, begins with a B, has a body length of 70 to 110 centimeters, so it is a very big eagle. The booted eagle only gets, its largest it ever gets is about 50 centimeters, so you're looking at half to 3/4 of the size of a bald eagle. But while we continue to see if we can find what the bark of the Nyala or kudu was about, let's go back to James.
There was a steenbok there, everybody. You can just see a little bit of movement as it sort of trots gently through the woodland. It is a gorgeous morning here on Cheetah Plains. It is not greatly full of enormous mammals, but it is very pretty indeed. Are you enjoying your morning, Eggsy? Yes. Eggsy and I have started to warm up, everybody. We feel much better now than we did a little while back. Right, we're right on the boundary with Nkoro now. This is Nkoro to the left-hand side. And we're going to head down into the magnificent plains of Cheetah. Any luck, there'll be some cheetah there. But the cheetah that they were following earlier went off northwest, so nowhere near where we are going. But I don't know if it was a male or a female, and it sounded like it was on its own. So perchance our two male cheetah are around here somewhere. And that's not to say that our ostrich Wobble or Pride of Ostriches won't be around here somewhere as well. Eggsy, have you seen a wobble of ostriches since you've been here? No, he has not. It will be a rare and amazing pleasure for you to see the wobble of ostriches. You must add it to your bird list, yes, but only once you've seen it. Donna, you say you'd like me to show you an ostrich track and try and find a feather. Absolutely, Donna, if I can find a feather, you may have it. Not sure how easily it would be to post to you, but I'll do my best. Right, we're going to ease our way down here. And I must say, I mean, isn't it lovely to have that experience where you see that bird with Brent? Not sure what it is, but it could be a whole suite of different things because we're now sort of heading towards the summer. And I think that's just wonderful. Now, I don't think I can go to the left here. If I go left, I'll be arrested, so we'll go to the right. Giraffe, well spotted, Eggsy. Eggsy spotted a giraffe, everybody. He nearly leapt onto my lap to point it out. We have two giraffe, Eggsy, if you can believe it. Our cup runneth over. They're about to go into the Kruger National Park. We might get stuck on this little crossing here. Ooh, Eggsy, this is going to be exciting. Hold on tight. Proper 4x4ing. Woo! We made it. They are Kruger National Park giraffe, these. So we'll just go onto the corner here and get a view of them. There we are. Two there, and Eggsy, you will not believe it, but there's one on our left as well. Looks like two cows, and some fellow trying to try his luck with them on this side here, a young bull. He's keeping his eye on his lady, as you can see. There's lovely sounds all over the place. This is the Kruger boundary one. That's the northern, very northeastern corner of our traverse on Cheetah Plains. You can see the road there that he's walking across. That's into Kruger. And I know I was talking a little bit about the boundaries and those sorts of areas that we're not allowed to cross earlier today. Well, that's one of those boundaries that we can't cross. And when I say we're part of the Kruger, well, you can now see that we are. There is no fence there, and that fence came down in about 1992, I think, in this particular area. There definitely was a fence until that point that separated the Kruger Park from the Sabi Sands, and then sense prevailed and they dropped it. It's very seldom in human history that sense has prevailed, but this was one incident. Very nice silhouette there, Eggsy. It's very artistic of you. I don't suppose you have a choice with the light like it is, do you? I'm afraid I can't move really, everybody, because to get a better picture I'll have to go forward and then we'll probably be arrested, and I don't think you and I want to spend the day explaining to the Kruger National Park authorities that we just didn't want the silhouetted view of the giraffe. We wanted a more frontlit one. Hello, James Richard. You want to know if the okapi, the giraffe's only other relative or living relative, is born with an ossicone or not? James Richard, I've got absolutely no idea whatsoever. I will have a look in my book quickly, if you like. Let me find an okapi and I'll show you a picture of it for the rest of you. You can have a look at it. If you don't know what an okapi looks like, I'd love to see an okapi one day. They, of course, live in the forests of the Congo, where you don't really want to go, I promise. I've been there before. It's not a particularly nice place to be. Doesn't say. Oh, and the females don't have horns at all. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm going to say yes, they probably are born with the ossicones in the same way that the giraffe are, given that they're the same family. But have a look at this, everybody. This. Look at that. That is an okapi, if you can believe it. An astonishing looking creature. It's only about 2.5 meters tall. No, even less than that. So it's only about 6.5 feet tall. And it lives in the forests, and you can see its little horns there, or the ossicones. That's them there, and only the male has got those horns. And highly endangered, of course, because they're used quite extensively in the bushmeat trade. The Congo, of course, possibly the continent's most troubled country, and there is unfettered poaching of forest elephants, forest hogs, forest buffalo, the duiker that they have there, the gorillas, the chimpanzees, many different species of monkey, and of course the okapi just falls into that. because people are desperate. They really are absolutely desperate from years and decades of horrible, horrible civil war and corruption, general neglect from leadership throughout the world. But it has resulted in this rather dreadful bushmeat trade. Right, we're going down south now into the other clearings. Hello, Dark Tranquility. I think the answer was very clear from what you saw there. You want to know if giraffes are monogamous? Negative. Giraffes are not monogamous. A bull giraffe will have his way, if you like, with as many females as he possibly can. And that is the case with so many of the animals out here, because it's just the best way to leave a genetic legacy. And so they are not monogamous by any shape, in any shape, way or form. I'm now going to attempt to move this tree. I suspect quite strongly that I'm about to embarrass myself. Eggsy is starting to laugh. This is a leadwood tree. I think it's going to be much too heavy. What do you think, Eggsy? Think I can do it? I think maybe you're going to have to come and help me. I've been severely injured. You see, it's horrible. I can't pull it out. Are you ready? Are you filming it? It's okay, everybody, I'll be alright. Oh, there's even a spot of blood. How disgusting. On we go. Eggsy was part of the first aid course, everybody. So with any luck, he'll be able to administer some first aid to my bleeding knee when we are next off air. The pain is quite astonishing. The blood is much less impressive. There's a tiny little spot. Let's go across to Brent for an update while I deal with the exceptional pain from the leadwood tree.
So we're exploring Arethusa now, as we had no luck with any tracks on Djuma. Oh, over the bump. So we're looking for off to a surprise. A surprise, and I'm not saying what it is, but we shouldn't be too far away now. Standing by. Copy, thanks. Okay, so we're not far away now, but still very exciting. Let's not focus about the future. Let's look back to the past. What do you think, Brian? Let's look at the past. So, a booted eagle. That's a really nice bird, especially for this time of the year. They're normally more common in this area in a couple of months, but that's why I wanted to make doubly sure, and we took so much time in identifying that bird. Okay. So this is quite cool. Now, if we look at this torchwood, it's so lovely and green, and the reason is the elephants have literally reached the pinnacle of where they can feed, and they haven't been able, and this one's way too big and way too strong to push down. And you can see the lower branches have been broken by the ellies, but there's not much left. Well, it's one of the only really green trees we're getting at the moment is the Balanites or torchwood, the green thorn. Beautiful tree. Copy, thanks. I'm on Central coming from the airstrip. Okay, surprise is on the way. Copy, thanks very much. So, lots of, I'm sure, people wondering what are we racing to. Brian knows. Do you know Brian?
I do know.
Does Final Control know Brian?
I don't think so.
Oh no, Final Control doesn't know. We're being very secretive, the Killer Bees, this morning. Now, I know Final Control is going to be squirming as much as everyone at home to try and figure out what surprise we're on our way to. Lots of monkey orange thickets. And I think we're getting very close to our surprise. Okay, let's open our eyes, have a look around. We are looking for other game drive vehicles who did the hard work for us this morning. And I'm sure Twitter is a flutter with guesses about what we're on our way to. So, Safari thinks it's the Sticks. I wonder, is it the Sticks? Could it be the Sticks Pride? Morning, morning, morning. How's everyone? Good, thanks. Just down here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
About 100 meters or so, you'll check it. It's on your right hand side.
Perfect. Thanks very much. Cheers. Okay, so we're about 100 meters away. And this is where the tracks go into the bush. So off we go, off the road. So, could it be Sticks? I don't know. Are you getting a feline vibe? I don't know if I'm getting a feline vibe, Brian. Yeah. Liz in Wisconsin says it's hyenas. Well, Liz, I think you might be right. A hyena? Could it be hyenas? Could it be multiple species? It could be a very rare bird. Anna-Marie says, is it too much to ask that the surprise is a wild dog? Well, Anna-Marie, if it had been wild dogs, do you think Brian and I would have been moving so sedately through the bush? So unfortunately, that's the one thing, just judging from my behavior, it is snot. Okay, we're here. I saw a flick of an ear in the bush. Now Kaya says Arethusa and a surprise. It must be Anderson. Ah, well, we're about to find out. There it is. is a leopard. But now, which leopard is it, Brian? I don't know. I'm confused. All leopards look the same to me. So let's see who can figure out which leopard this is. And she's chewing on the remnants of a kill that was lost to hyenas a short time ago. So she's managed to find a few scraps that the hyenas left behind. But it is a very pleasant surprise, nonetheless. After searching the whole of Djuma for leopard tracks and coming up with naught, quite nice to pop over to Arethusa for a little bit of leopard action. So it is not Salahesh. So still waiting for an answer. Which leopard could this be? So apparently it was an adult impala that was caught. So probably a bit heavy for her to pop it in the tree, and that's why the hyenas managed to steal it. Honey, it is indeed Shadow, Karula's oldest daughter from her first litter. Now Shadow that's quite a strange leopard, I would say. She exhibits very unusual behavior in the fact that with her last cub and this cub, she's been seen mating even while she's got a cub. The cub was seen alive a few days ago, but it's definitely not here now. So, as I said, very interesting behavior that she's exhibited. Now, as far as we know, the cub is still alive, and she did this with her last cub. She pretty much abandoned it for about a month, at about the same age. Now, I wonder, because it's a female, will it become independent of her younger, which is normal? So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, especially with the pressure she's facing from other leopards at the moment. The last time I saw Salahesh was in this block, probably no more than 100 meters from where we are now. Also, there's all these young females looking for territory because the western sections along the Manyameti River are quite full up with leopards. So you've got two young females from Nsele. We saw one of them in Chila on Djuma. Brian and I actually saw the other female, but we couldn't, unfortunately, get signal where we found her. Oh, there she's moving. And then there's another young female called the Ingrid's Dam female. That's come up from the north, from Londolozi, from Ottawa. And let's try to think. Oh, so there are quite a few other female leopards around that could be putting pressure on Shadow at the moment. And she seems to have been operating in a very narrow area. This is the furthest west I've seen her in quite some time. Janice is asking, did Shadow have an injury on her elbow? Well, Janice, not that I noticed. It looks like she's just eating a bit of the stomach lining there. See, it doesn't look like she's enjoying it too much. So the whole stomach is intact there, but because she's lost this kill 2 hyenas, she'll probably try and get as much nutrients as possible. So she's just feeding off the little scraps that the hyena left as it ran off with the rest of the carcass. I mean, it looks like she has eaten, but she's by no means rotund or very full. So she's literally picking between the stomach contents and trying to find any little bit of nutrients possible. So from what I can see there, it looks like lower intestine she's feeding off at the moment. Now, Hurricane, the Dutch angel dragon, would like to know how we can tell the difference between the different leopards, etc. Well, there's a couple of ways we do. Quite often we work on where we see them, so a lot to do with their different territories or home ranges. Secondly, each individual leopard has a unique spot pattern over its whole body, but the main one we use is the spot pattern above the last line of whiskers. I'm not going to show you that just yet. We're going to stick with her while she's feeding, but I will show you how spot pattern works a little bit later. Now, Shamsun is wondering, is Shadow the one who very rarely hoists her kill? Shamsun, you are spot on, and she does seem to lose a lot of her kills to hyenas. We can hear all the African fish eagles in the background making a racket. Sorry guys, it's Peter, I think, from Nkoro. Look at that, she doesn't really look like she's enjoying that much, does she? Now, between the different lineages of leopards you get, to expand on IDs, so if you have a look at Karula and Shadow and Thandi, they're very pale leopards, and if we're taking Kanyeni, for example, she's a very dark leopard. So you do have different color variations in their coats, and it seems the different female lineages are either dark or light. And as much as I do love Karula and her family, I'm a massive fan of the darker leopards. And my favorite leopards in the Sabi Sands have always been of the darker lineages, and generally found closer to the Sand River, but also in Kanyen is quite a dark female, and so is Salahesh. This shadow is a very pale leopard. Hi, Michael. Michael's wondering what is my all-time favorite Djuma leopard moment. Oh, I think I've got a couple, Michael, and I think 3 of them are all with what was my favorite male leopard, but unfortunately he's departed our traverse area. He's gone down towards the Sand River, but it was with a male leopard called Konyuma, and Brian, I think you were there for most of them. So we had him climb into a dead knobthorn, I mean not knobthorn, a dead leadwood tree, and nearly fall out of it a couple of times. And we had an incredible sighting of him way up in that tree. And then also with him, we watched him literally for no reason sneak up to a buffalo who was sleeping in a waterhole and smack it on the bottom, and then climb up a tree and then hiss at the buffalo. So that was pretty special. I'm just going to move quickly. And then again, when he was feeding off a baboon, he had a fight with a hyena. There we go. She's got a little prize, all the hyenas left for her. And she's on the move now. Let's see where she's off to. Sorry about my hat there. She might go towards that big termite mound. Let's just see where she went. So while we keep up with Shadow through the monkey orange thickets, let's go see how Commander Bond has been doing.
We did see an elephant, believe it or not, everyone. Eggsy, that machine of yours making a horrible noise. It's going... Do you see? Is that the car? Yeah. We hoped it would come towards the water here, because we're not allowed to go bashing off road after them at the moment in the drought conditions. So let's just pop around the corner and see if he isn't coming through here. It was just a single bull, very long distance sight of him coming through this woodland. It's just the most gorgeous morning here. We've had a wonderful time while you've been enjoying your surprise there with Brent, which is a very good surprise, isn't it? We've been enjoying some lapwings and some other birds and some just very pleasant sun. Hello Lucy, I'm afraid you're asking a question that's well beyond my pay grade. You say, will there ever be a bushwalk here on Cheetah Plains, or will the signal be an issue? I just don't know. I'm not sure. We'd love to do bushwalks here, just for some variety, and I don't think the pack is set up at the moment to send a signal towards the repeater at Cheetah Plains, but you know, from my understanding of how it all works, I don't think that would be too difficult to do. So I think it's quite possible that we'll have bushwalks here at some stage. It'd be lovely to go striding out across those plains, especially if there happen to be some ostriches around. No ostriches in any of the clearings. We've done a thorough search of them all. So we'll just see if we can't spot this elephant here. Then I think we'll probably head back towards Djuma. I'm sad that Shadow's cub is not there, and I'm sure you will be discussing about that, and I'm sure you've all been discussing the fact that she doesn't seem to hoist her kills at all, why she's come into estrus again. It's all rather tragic, I find. There's some impala, Eggsy. Our cup runneth over again. The elephant might pop out here, but let's go and enjoy the impala for a second, and then we'll go back. I'm very upset that none of you have asked how my injury is. Right, hear the impala, everybody. Let's see if we can't hear the elephant coming this way, perhaps. Ah, it's just so nice here. There's a strangely cold breeze blowing out of the north, but that's okay. We're wrapped up nice and warm. We have the sun at our backs. But you can see how the light has gone from that gold colour to a fairly pale white. That's normal for this time of the year, but it also means that there's very little up in the atmosphere. See if you can see which females are about to give birth in November. Some of them fatter than the others, but all in pretty good condition. And I fear me that my dire predictions of this dry drought season have been all but put to flight. The impala looking pretty good, those wildebeest looked good. That had an extremely good sighting of a very shiny steenbok yesterday. The nyala looking pretty fine. Right, hello. A new viewer, Hurricane the Dutch Angel Dragon. Hello, Hurricane the Dutch Angel Dragon. You say you're new here and you didn't know I was hurt. Well, Hurricane the Dutch Angel Dragon, just before you go back to see Brent, you can see that I've been injured twice today. Not once, but twice. There's my first injury, and my second one, oh, that's where that enormous tree was sticking out of me earlier on. Let's go back across to Shadow and Brent while I recuperate.
So we're still sitting. We managed to get round. She just keeps, unfortunately, popping her head behind the one stick that's in the way. It looks like she's eating what little is left at the moment. Oh, look, she does have an injury on her back right leg. See that, Brian? She might be going back to where the remnants of that kill were to search for more scraps. Let's go have a look. Are we behind us there, Brian? Should we go back or forward? Yeah, we're just waiting. There's a bit of a traffic jam here at the moment. It is a very thick area. Lots of these little terrible monkey oranges. Now, these little monkey oranges are a product of a very wet 10 years. And hopefully, while it's very dry, the elephants and other creatures will even them out a little bit. Shots if you get a window through the thicket there, Brian. Looks like she might move again, so we're just going to sit here, see what she does. Hi, Di. As I said earlier, the last time Shadow's cub was seen was about 2 or 3 days ago. But I haven't heard any updates on the cub in the last 24 hours. Right, let's move forward a bit there, Brian. We can actually see that injury. I'm quite interested to have a look at it. You see it, Brian? On her back right leg. I'm just going to get a picture so you can have a look. Almost. Oh, of course she moves. Now, it doesn't seem to be affecting her movement in any way. Oh, next little scrap. No, we can't see it now. It looks like the lungs that she's got there now, or at least a piece of the lungs. Now, we often find shadow and Karula in these monkey orange thickets. It is one of their favourite areas to hunt. Now, being quite small leopards, they tend to focus a lot more on steenbok and duiker, but because of the drought, they've been catching a lot of adult impala. Now, of course, a lot of the herbivores are in a weakened state at the moment, so it has made them easier for the smaller leopards to focus on larger prey. But there is a bit of a negative sometimes to catching bigger prey, is that it's too heavy for them to hoist. Oh, Dark Tranquility is wondering how long can a leopard leave its cub for? Well, it depends on the age of the cub. The youngest ever recorded cub in this part of the world, being independent from its mother, was a female who was abandoned at 7 months old and managed to survive and live a very long life. But normally, they won't leave the cubs for longer than 2 or 3 days, except if you're shadow. She seems to do very strange things. So she left her last cub, Sindile, for nearly a month before she returned to him, and she was mating in that month. Now, she was seen mating with Tingana not that long ago. So, very, very interesting to see whether she returns. Now, this cub is still 6 months old, and there is always a possibility if it's abandoned it might survive, but generally they need to be closer to as close to that year mark as possible to have a very good chance at survival. So what will happen if a cub is abandoned at that age? It's going to take a long time for it to catch bigger prey, so it's going to focus on insects, small birds, francolin, frogs, mice, cane rats, those type of things. Okay, well, I'm just going to wait to see what she does. It's not the most wonderful view, but that's the view we've got at the moment. Even if we moved around to the other side, she'd be completely obscured by the little bush willow. while we sit and play the patience game with Shadow, let's go see what Commander Bond is up to.
We are just driving through Cheetah Plains at the moment, and what I would like you to note as we sort of drift the camera from side to side, that's a hint, Eggsy, there we go, well done, is the complete lack of anything to eat here for animals, which is giving rise to a lack of animals at the moment. But just the colour I find absolutely astonishing. Grey and copper. It's beautiful. It's also a very good place for Nkanyeni the leopard to hide. Oh dear. I think we got a problem here, Eggsy. We got a small wood problem here. This tree is falling to pieces. Now this, I don't believe, was the function of elephants, everybody. This was caused by the wind that we had the other day, where there was that dust storm. And it's, well, I suppose it was originally caused by elephants. Eggsy, if you put the camera on the actual tree there, you'll see that elephants took it apart. They obviously took a bit of the bark off some time back, and that eventually exposed it to various wood borers and funguses, and it's rotted the tree away, and now when the big wind came, it obviously topped one of the big limbs off, and that big limb has smashed here, and I am now removing it. We will not be able to continue in the route we will go. Interestingly, one of my theories this has been that elephants do not destroy female trees, that they know the difference between the two. You can't hear me?
No, it's cutting out.
It's cutting out. Is it still cutting out? Right, I'll just keep my back to you because the receiver's here in my back. And that is because, of course, the female trees produce fruit. And there is no fruit here. There are no pips, indicating to me that this was indeed a male tree that the elephants destroyed. Right, I think I've cleared sufficient path. Eggsy is also attacking a fly that is setting upon him, and it's quite amusing to watch as he thrashes at his face. Eggsy, does your beard not deter flies? Perhaps you could sort of infuse it with citronella oil or something. I think you should definitely try that. Infuse your beard with citronella oil. I've done lots of manual labor today. You see that, Eggsy? Yes. And now we've changed. Ooh, what is that? You know what that is, Eggsy? You know what that bird is up there, Eggsy? I'm about to give you a very, very special treat. What I can tell you for free is that it is not a pale form booted eagle. But what I will tell you is that I believe it to be your, not mine of course, because I saw mine yesterday, your very first Wahlberg's eagle. That is indeed what it is, everyone. A Wahlberg's eagle could be the one that we saw yesterday. Let me... Well, I suppose you can sort of see him. That stick is a little bit in the way, but I don't know that we're going to get a better angle. Let's move a little bit closer, further forward. Just hold on there. Hold on there, Eggsy. Fear not. Every time we get into... Ooh, is there a view there?
Just a little bit back.
Ah, perfect. Now, you can see it's got a little crest at the back of the head. Very slight. You can see it was a little bit mottled, but it's all uniform colour on the back, so definitely not a tawny. It's got a thin tail, you can see, and once you've seen a few Wahlberg's eagles, well, you can't really confuse them, like I did the other day. Right, Eggsy? Are you pleased? Do you feel that your life is complete? That you can go to the grave Happy and safe in the knowledge that you've seen a Wahlberg's eagle? Okay, good, yes. So you can add that to your list, which is now what? Chicken, hornbill, ostrich. No, you haven't got ostrich yet. Wahlberg's eagle, and let us not forget lilac-breasted roller. Yes, good. 4. And the green pigeon, yes. 5. That's marvellous. Alright, we're going to carry on this way, everybody. And while we do that, let us go and see how the tragic tale of Shadow the leopard is unfolding.
Oh, she's definitely making the most out of the remnants of that carcass. So she's sniffing around. You can see the stomach still intact at the back. So she's looking. She might open it up. She might eat the stomach lining. We do see leopards do that from time to time, depending on how hungry they are. My budgie is wondering, do leopards eat the bones of what they kill? They'll be able to eat the smaller bones and definitely the cartilage, but the bigger bones, unfortunately, they don't have powerful enough jaws to crush them. But if there is a small enough bone, they will eat it. So maybe we'll be able to see that injury. It doesn't seem to be affecting it. It almost looks like a rub injury, like she's fallen out of a tree or something. She's searching for any little scrap. I'm going to try to keep with her as she moves. I'm hoping she's going to head to a nice big termite mound, or even maybe down towards Arathusa for a drink of water. You can see that area she's moving into is full of these little monkey oranges. We do apologize for the noise they make as we drive past, but unfortunately to stick with her, there's not much we can do. Let's just see where she goes. She might come back. I think where she's sniffing now is where the hyena dragged that carcass off. I think I can just make out a drag mark there. So even though she is carrying that injury on her back right leg, It doesn't seem to be affecting her. It seems to be more of a graze than a deep injury. Let's see where she goes. I'm definitely going to try to stick with her. But she is heading into some thickets now. So while we keep on the tail of Shadow, let's go see how James is doing.
There's a kudu, everybody, and I've just been sitting here wondering to myself, has that kudu ever seen a vehicle before? Because it was standing next to this third of 3 in a row pan, and they get so nervous when we go past, and I'm constantly amazed at how sort of seemingly unhabituatable many of the antelope are here, specifically things like kudu and nyala. Nyala are probably a bit better, but the kudu, you just can't get close to them. Let's move a little bit closer down here. She's a lovely looking cow, that. I just think their ears are so fantastic, and she's watching us very carefully. I've definitely noticed that since driving with Eggsy, I haven't been able to get quite as close to animals as I once did, and I think they often think he might be one of them, you know, with a beard on his face. Perhaps they think there's a lion on the back of the car. And you can hear the wonderful call there of the crested barbet. Isn't that nice? Such a comforting sound. I can't see the bird. He's bright orange and red and yellow and black and white, and yet I still cannot see him somewhere in the tree just above us. She'll be looking to have something to drink down here, I think, but it must be remembered that they are absolutely not water-dependent kudu. They can live just about anywhere, and they survive. They survive by having an incredibly efficient digestive system that manages to suck all of the water in their food out. Then there's a whole lot more of them, and I think she's not actually looking at us. What she's looking at is a wildebeest who's behind us, a bull who's perhaps been left behind that herd. There he is over there. And I think his rest of his herd is headed off into Nkoro, which is not too far from here. In fact, we were really very close to this exact point when we saw the rest of the herd this morning. A wonderful, wonderful wildebeest sighting. And this chap is sort of a bit confused. I feel this whole sort of sighting is slightly confused. The wildebeest staring at us. We're staring at the kudu staring at the wildebeest, everybody wondering what on earth is going on. So while I figure that out, let us go and find out this sort of day-to-day hair care that a leopard might take over herself.
Just doing a bit of preening after feeding. It'll be interesting to see where she moves to from here. I wonder if she's heading back towards the cub. Somehow, with Shadow, I'm not that confident she is, unfortunately. Well, leopards are great self-groomers. And after they've been feeding, they will do quite a lot of grooming on their paws. Now, Suspicious Primate is wondering, where are all the vultures? Are they scared of Shadow? No, well, leopards' kills are generally quite small, and they do keep them quite well hidden. You can just see that injury on her back right leg. It looks like more like a graze than anything else to me, so I don't know, maybe while hunting. Oh, what she got there? She pick up a piece of hyena, the hyena dropped. Sorry, Suspicious Primate. So leopards are generally quite good at hiding their kills from vultures. So you normally only find vultures on big kills. And I don't think the vultures have had time. Sorry, I'm just trying to, I think this is the best spot. No. Try a bit further. I think that's, unfortunately she's chosen the one bush to get behind. There we go. He just picked up a little scrap that fell off the carcass as the hyena was running away from it, running away with it. Doesn't look too appetizing. Okay, if she's going to lie down and eat, I'm going to leave. Let's get into a good spot. Murphy's Law. Looks like there's another bush this side. How's that, Brian? A bit more? Oh, of course, we've arrived as she swallows the last bit of that morsel. And clump down the gullet. Actually just make out the drag mark in the ground where she's smelling there. See it there, Brian? That line in the sand. There it is. So this is the route the hyena disappeared with her carcass. Ooh, that looks like a tire killer, that one. Let's avoid that. She's fairly zigzagging through these thickets. Now she looks like she's heading back to where she came from. Well, she's giving us a good workout, up, down, around. Quick scent mark. And she's been spotted by a squirrel. Chit, 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 chit. So she's heading back to where we first saw her, on the remnants of that impala kill. Maybe she's decided that even though the stomach's not too pleasant, she's hungry enough. Hi, Janet. Janet's wondering at what age did Shadow become independent from Karula? Now, to be honest, I've got a friend. I don't know, Janet. So. He keeps looking up and around, and like she's hoping there's going to be more of the carcass left. So that's where it was. Just going to stand by here, see if she moves on, or oh, she's found another little, tiny little bit. Let's try and get another view. How's that, Brian? Yeah, it sounds like there's a bit of bone in there still. Yeah, you can see it's a small enough bone that she's trying to crack it open. You can hear the crunching. Now, Jason's asked a very good question. Why do we use the smallest dots, it seems, on a leopard's body to identify them? Well, Jason, it's the easiest and most unique, and it stands out separate from a lot of the other spot patterns. So it is generally the easiest to actually ID them from. Now she really is making the most of this, and every little bit she is munching away on. She's still alert, trying to make sure no more hyenas rush in and surprise her. Still haven't managed to get the best view of that injury. I don't think it's too serious though. Wonder how she got it though. That is always a mystery, unless we're actually right there when something like that happens. Squirrel still quite displeased with her presence in the area. So Eileen says she became independent in 2008. So if we go backwards from there, thanks very much for that, Eileen in Texas, 2008. And she is 11 now. Tiny scrap. Tiny scraps. Shame. Poor Shadow. So if she's 11, I mean, she became completely independent at about 3, which is very old for a female leopard. Well, Afira from Israel says Karula's mother Safari had new cubs when Karula was a year old. Now that is unusual, but not completely out of the books. Most female, oh there we go. Oh, she's not going to enjoy this, but she's hungry enough. And we could see some funny faces shortly. Brian's giving Shadow a look of disgust at the moment. How could you be doing this? It really doesn't look like she's enjoying that. Guys, why are you filming me at my worst? There we go, you can see. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to get a photograph, a close-up of that injury she's carrying when I get the opportunity. Can you see through her Achilles tendon there?
A little bit, I think.
She doesn't seem to be hampered by movement, but maybe that injury is a bit more serious than we thought. Now, as I said, she is under pressure from quite a lot of other females. So it could have been from a fight with one of them. Maybe that's why she's looking around so much. Not only for hyenas, but in case Salahesh or one of the other young females makes an appearance. Thanks, Raisa. So Shadow's 10. So I mean, Independence at 2, which is still reasonably late for a female leopard. But apparently Karula was very young, only 2 years and 4 months when she had Shadow and Tundi. That is very young for a female leopard to start breeding. They're normally only after 3. She's very, very, very conscious. She's always looking up and around. I'm hoping she's going to give us a view of that injury again. I'd like to have a closer look. Oh, there we go. I can smell that stomach entrails now. You can just make it out through there. So, as I said, it looks more like a sort of almost a burn injury, like a rubbing injury. So maybe she was chased out of a tree, fell out of a tree. I'm just going to move back a little bit, see if we can see that injury a bit better. go. Let's have a look. You got it there, Brian? So I'm going to just zoom in quickly with the camera. It could be a... It does look... but it looks like it's not that fresh. It looks like it's healing quite well. I'm just going to go a bit further back to see, because that injury extends higher as well. Oh, tail gets some... Wait, let me just... Okay. I've got enough to show you guys a bit more closely on the camera. There. Oh my God, have I rolled too far? Just too far. Now maybe it is from a fight, that injury. Okay, so if we have a look on the back of the camera, I'm going to try to use my head for shade. Can you still see it, Brian? Maybe I can put my hat somewhere. There? Am I using... There? Okay. So it's quite a clean cut. It looks like it's not fresh. It's quite old. And it's already started to heal. Could be from a claw or from a tooth. But I think maybe not from falling out of a tree, but possibly from fighting with another leopard. So we're going to stick here, see what happens with Shadow as she feeds on the scraps. While we do that, let's go see how James is doing.
Eggsy, on this bush in front of us is a bird. In fact, there are two birds. Can you see them? Hurry, Eggsy, don't be slow like me, otherwise I'll fly away. There we go. Ooh. What is that? What do you think it is, Eggsy? That's a butterfly. No, it's a leaf. It's not a bird. It's not a bird, everybody. It's a leaf. But there's a rattling testicular on the thorn bush beyond, Eggsy. Can you see the little white bird there? Now it's flown away. Oh dear. Okay, let's go a little bit forward. There's a nice bird party going on here. I was just commiserating, of course, with Shadow, as she and I have quite a lot in common now that we both have an injury on our legs. Rebecca did describe the one in the following biological terms. This is Shadow's injury as, ooh, that's so gross. So I think it's probably substantially worse than mine. So that's a bit worrying. Now in here, there are some birds, one of which is a rattling testicular. Can you see it there, Eggsy? It's now on the far end, and it's going psh, 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 psh. This is hopeless. There it is. You got it. Well done. There we go. Well done, Eggsy. Rattling testicular. Eggsy, is that the most spectacular bird you've ever seen? Number 6 on your list, which now includes chicken, lilac-breasted roller,
and the owl.
and the owl. Which owl?
Pearl-spotted owl.
The pearl-spotted owl. Good. Just as long as we don't forget the chicken, because that's the amusing one. Okay, and there's one more here. I think it's a white-browed scrub robin that came flitting across here. But we might not bother to try and search for it because I think it's in such deep bush. No, it's too thick. We saw some more zebra on our way back from the bushes, at least from Cheetah Plains, and we also saw 2 elephants, but unfortunately we lost signal where we saw them, so we couldn't view them with you. Sorry about that. It's our fervent hope to find a few more before the end of the drive, which is not too far in the future. A bit worried about old Shadow. I was making slightly light of the tragedies of her life, but really, she doesn't seem to have had much of an easy time of it. Now there's a lovely, lovely Birchall starling sitting on... Oh gosh, and I've run off the road. Stupid bird. Stay there. Don't move. Glorious colours in this light. There we are, Eggsy. That is the Birchall starling. You can just see it's cleaning its beak. I don't know if you managed to see that. It was just using that stick. There. Look at that. Isn't that cool? In the background, a fish eagle calling. Now, I think they do that also to sharpen the beak, you know. I don't think it's only cleaning. I think there's quite a lot in the way of sharpening that goes on there. Well done, Eggsy. Only 1 or 2 people have seasickness now. But only those with the most sensitive stomachs. Looking for ants and termites. I think that's the bulk of many of these birds' diets during these dry season months. Oh, but he's lovely. Look at him shining in the sun. Hello, Siberia Zumi. You say, can you see a bronze mannequin in this area? You can see a bronze mannequin. I'll just show all of you what a mannequin looks like. It's a very special little bird. Just because they're quite sweet, really. They live in a little flock. Or they're sort of finches, tiny little finches. And they live in flocks. And in theory, you can see them here. And I used to see them once every so often at Londolozi. I think because it was a bit wetter. But there they are, the bronze mannequin. He's that one there. You see him here. There he is, everybody, with the bronze mannequin. And we do see them here every so often. I've never seen them at Djuma, but they are possibly seen here. And here's the distribution map to the left-hand side. And you can see we're over... let me get a pointer of some sort in case you're wondering about the map. I don't really have a pointer in the car. You'll have to make do with my fat finger. In the middle of where my fat finger is round about where we are. So it definitely does occur here, Siberia, but I haven't seen one here. There we are. Okay, let's carry on. To go north towards the smell of cooking bacon and coffee. Now those 2 cheetah, which we were hoping would go into Plains, have now gone onto Torchwood from Nkoro. Dark Tranquility, you're wondering if Eggsy's real name is in fact Egbert. No, his real name is Alexander. You can see exactly why it's called Eggsy then, can't you? Dark Tranquility, I'll quickly tell you how it came about. It's very silly. He is known as Zander or Zander by his family. That's spelled Xander. Now, if you were to just pronounce that in sort of Zulu way, it would be Qanda. Now, Qanda is not a word in Zulu, but one of our viewers said that sounds like the word for egg in Zulu, which is Iqanda. And you can hear the subtle difference between the two clicks. The one is an X, the one is a Q, and egg is spelt with a Q, Iqanda. But since he was confused with egg, he's been Eggsy. And, well, I don't think anybody really remembers his real name most of the time. So no, his name is not Egbert, his name is Alexander. But we already have an Alexander working for us. That's Alex Vols, the terrifying Russian who's returning to our shores today. So we couldn't have two Alexanders, especially as you know Alex is a terrifying Russian and we don't want Eggsy to be scared. So we've just given him a new name. Kirsten has taken to calling him Egbert, yes. But that is even further from his name than Eggsy is. Marvellous. Ooh, hang on a second. I have stopped at this tree before, but I think it might be a new one. If any of you are keeping a tree list, some of you won't have this. I think this is the only example of what we call the governor's plum here on Djuma that I've seen. I think this is Flacotia indica, the governor's plum. Time will tell when it produces fruits, which I think are quite pleasant to eat. It's so nice when this happens and you drive past on a road that you've driven hundreds of times before, and there suddenly something you've never seen appears. Well, hardly just appeared though, has it, Eggsy? I've just not noticed it before. Very nice. Hello, Aqua. Yes, very good point. You say you don't know how it is that Brian and Brent don't sleep without pajamas, or do sleep without pajamas, because you're much too afraid of earthquakes to sleep without pajamas. Well, exactly, and in this place, well, it might not be earthquakes, it could be marauding elephants coming through the camp, or a hyena that happens to be trying to steal the dustbin. You might have to rush out of your house and shout at it, and nobody wants to see you in your birthday suit doing that. Now, on that note, I'm going to bid you a quick and fond farewell. We're going to spend the last few minutes of the drive with Shadow. I'll see you this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Thanks for coming to Cheetah Plains with us, and thank you, Eggsy, for your efforts. We'll see you later, everybody. Bye-bye.
So we're still sitting with Shadow while she preens herself. She's moved a little bit from where she was trying to eke out any form of sustenance from her impala kill that was stolen by spotted hyenas. So she's just cleaning herself, and she was eating quite a bit, or inadvertently eating quite a bit of impala stomach contents. She's still very, very conscious, which makes me think that that wound is possibly from another leopard, not from a fall on a tree or anything like that. Susan says, could that injury be from a warthog? It's possible, but unlikely, just because of where it is. Generally, when leopards get wounded by warthogs, those wounds will be around the front part. I mean, it's possible that a warthog hooked her as she was trying to get away from it. Very possible, in fact. But I don't know, just the placement of it seems like she might have been caught unawares by another leopard. But as I said, it looks like she's walking fine as she walks again. Now she is heading north at the moment. I'll try to stick with her for as long as possible. So June says, how long do we do this? I'm at the office and this has become my daily routine. We do it for 6 hours a day, Jude, from 6 a.m. Central African time, oopsie, attack of the rogue branch, to 9 a.m. Central African time, and then again from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African time. But we're about to close down. I'm just going to try and get us one last lovely view of Shadow. I think she's going to give us a behind view. So from the Killer Bees, it's been splendid having you and lovely to catch up with Shadow. I haven't seen her in quite some time. So we will see you again shortly for the Sunset Safari. So toodles for now.